Welcome to Topic 5, Lesson 5, One-Digit Quotients. We're going to be talking about how do we find one-digit quotients with two-digit divisors. So our first problem we're going to do is 325 divided by 38. And what we're going to do is we're going to start by estimating. This estimation becomes really important with the larger divisors. You really need to make sure that you estimate because it's going to help you. Not only is it going to give you an idea of if your answer is reasonable, it's going to tell you where to start, with your first place digit in the quotient. It's also going to give you an idea of what that quotient could be, which is going to help you when it comes terms to starting out your division problem. So we're going to take this 38, we're going to take it into a 440, and we're going to look at the 32, and sure enough, we can actually just leave that as 32, right? Because we know that 4 and 32 are compatible. They equal 8. And so we have 1 0 minus 1 0 is no zeros. So that would be 8. So I know that my answer is going to be close to 8. I know that I'm going to have a one-digit answer. And I'm actually going to start with 8. Because I know 8 times 40 is 320. That's awfully close to 325. So, and I know this is actually an overestimate because 40 is greater than 38. So over here, I'm going to do my math over on the side. And if you're one of those neat people that really doesn't want it to look messy, you may even put a little line there, do your math there, because you don't want to erase these math problems. You're going to find that these math problems, maybe not so much for this particular lesson, maybe even not so much for this particular year, but these math problems over here will start to become helpful. So don't erase them. Kind of, format your paper such that if you don't like to have everything mixed up, which I completely understand, maybe have a little line and say, okay, I'm going to do my work over on this side, but I'm going to do kind of like the main problem over here. So 8 times 8 is 64. Carry the 6. 8 times 3 is 24 plus 6 is 30. And then this is also where that check. Yeah, I would pause here and think to myself, okay, if first of all, can I subtract 304 from 325? And I can. The second thing is, if I subtract 304 from 325, am I going to have something greater than 38? And I'm not going to, right? You kind of have that's something you're going to have to kind of think about in your head. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to put my 8 in here and do this in pencil because you're going to make mistakes. Everyone makes mistakes doing this. 8 times 38 is 304. Subtract right because remember we divide, multiply, subtract, and check. And this check becomes more important now. 5 minus 4 is 1. 2 minus 0 is 2. So 21. And again, this is also where you're going to start having two-digit remainders. You can have a remainder all the way up to 37 with this problem. So this would be 8 remainder 21 or 8 21 over 38. And then our last step is going to be to check. So we're going to multiply 38 times 8. This is a different kind of check. 8 times 8 is 64. Carry the 6. 304 plus 21 would equal 325. And sure enough, they're the same. So I know my answer is correct. Okay. Now, this check here, like I said, this check here is starting to become more important. So I want to do this problem again, but I want to show you what happens. Let's say I started with 7. So I'm going to go over here. I'm going to put a little line here. 38 times 7. 8 times 7 is 6, 5, 266. Is that correct? Yes. So I'm going to put my 7 here. So I divided. I'm going to multiply. And I'm going to go and subtract. Aha. 59. 59 is greater than 38. Since this number is bigger than the divisor, so any number 38 or above would be a problem because that means I can fit one more 38 into this answer. That means this number here is too small. So if this number here, when you subtract, if you get a number bigger than your divisor, then your quotient is too small. Okay. Let's see. So now I corrected myself. I'm going to try a bigger number. I'm going to try 9 because 7 was too small. So you know what? I'm going to try 9. 27 plus 7 is 342. Is that right? 27 plus 7, 3 and 4, 2, yes. So now I'm going to do that is my division. Now I'm going to multiply. Okay, I can't take 342 from 325. Don't reverse this in your head. I've seen people do this, where somehow they do some crazy thing where they subtract upwards or something because they're convinced that they've got a right answer. Okay, that's not right. So you can't go 342 minus 325. You're going to get what's a negative number. You're going to find out about that next year. But for this year, we don't do that. Well, you don't do that at all in division at all. That's still going to be wrong next year. So I can't do this. So if this number is too big, then that number is too small. That number is, oops, I put it, that should be an I. That number is too big. So if the number that you multiply you get is too big, then your quotient is too big. If the number you subtract is too big, then that number is too small. So that's kind of where you need to start correcting your division problems. It's probably something that hasn't been really an issue up till now. Up till now, you probably haven't had a problem with um, having a number that when you multiplied that was too big, or having a subtraction that was too small. But now, since you're dealing with numbers, where you just don't know how many 38s there are in 325 off the top of your head. It's just not one of those things we know. So it's one of those things where you might get wrong. So that's why having these multiplication problems on the side can be very helpful. So this is sort of like Baby Bear and Papa Bear, and one's too big, one's too small, and then one's just right. Well, this was too small, this was too big, but 8 was just right. And you kind of figure that out by a little bit of guess and check, educated guess and check from your estimate. Always important to start out with an estimate and where to start, and then just doing the multiplication problems out and seeing, oh, that came out with, when I subtracted that, I got a number that was bigger than my divisor. So now my quotient has to be too small. And in this one, I multiplied it out. I got a number I couldn't subtract. That means my quotient was too big. So now I've got to go with the number that's in between those two, which would be 8. And like I said, this is going to become more and more important with your the bigger you get a divisor and the bigger your dividend is, the more of an issue this is going to be. Okay? So I want you to try 752 divided by 93. Okay, so we're going to start by we're going to start by estimating. Sorry, I blanked on what that was called. And so we're going to round our 93 to 90. And we're going to look at the 75. And I've been rounding up, but I'm going to round this one down because it's a little bit closer, right? My two choices would either be 72 or 81. 72 is closer. So I'm going to round that to 720. 772 divided by 9 is 8. 10 minus 10 is no zeros. Ironically, I got 8 again for nothing other than coincidence. I'm going to divide that out. Another thing is when you're doing this, and I'm going to tell you this is one of my bad habits. When you make this line, you want to make sure it's curved, because sometimes, if you kind of go like that, now it starts to, or if worse, if you go like that, it starts to look like a 1 in the number. So now I'm going to use my 8. I'm going to go over here and I'm going to do 9. Oops. I'm going to do 93 times 8. 8 times 3 is 24. 2. And 8 times 9 is 72 plus 2 is 744. And again, I'm going to do that quick mental check. That number is smaller, so I'm okay on that front. And that number is also, when I subtract that number, I'm going to get a number much smaller than 90. I'm going to get a number smaller than 93. So 8 should be okay. So I'm going to put an 8 here, and I'm going to put my number here. I've done my multiplication already. I'm going to do my subtraction. And 8 is my answer. So now I have 8, remainder 8, or 8 and 8 over 93. And now I'm going to do my check. Just a little more space. So I'm going to do 93 times 8. These are actually pretty easy checks to do, right? 44 plus 8 is going to be 752. So that's how you divide with 2-digit divisors. It's the same exact process as you've been doing with 1-digit divisors. The only thing that gets a little tricky about it is figuring out what this number is going to be. That's really where the problem lies for some people, is that they get really confused because they don't know where to start. They don't know where to start with, do I use 5? Do I use 6? What number is it? And this is where that estimation really, really, really helps you, because that estimation is going to give you a really good starting place. Okay, that is dividing by two-digit divisors. Thank you for listening.